What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we got Maik from Heaven Shall Burn. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, what's up? I'm in quarantine as well.
Yeah, nothing is more metal than interviewing Heaven Shall Burn in a quarantine zone. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah, well, maybe just the biohazard interview would be top on everything, but you know.
Yeah, what can you do? But
what can you do?
But your newest album of Truth and Sacrifice is absolutely phenomenal. A double album. Being that this was the first new Heaven Shall Burn since Wanderer came out in 2016, do you consider this a follow-up to Wanderer, or do you think that this is a new start for Heaven Shall Burn?
That's an interesting question. I never thought about that. Actually, my spontaneous feeling about it would be it's more like a new start. When doing that record, songwriting wise, I didn't think about Wanderer at all, you know, but of course, same person wrote Wanderer, same person produced Wanderer, and of course there is a handwriting and a connection to the records, you know, but it wasn't the situation that we released Wanderer and then we just started writing of Truth and Sacrifice. You know, there was like quite a break in between it, and we made like a quite new setup for us. You know, we did a live break, and we didn't want to have any pressure in studio, and you know, we didn't talk about deadlines at all. We just wanted to write and record this album and then talk about release dates with a label and everything. That is something we never did before. So it really felt like a new approach. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the entire Heaven Shall Burn, you know, being a fan of the band, this could just me being, you know, from listening to you guys for years, but when you like, I could tell what would be off Whatever It May Take or Death to Our Prayers or Invictus or any of those albums. Like, is it fair to say that maybe every album in the Heaven Shall Burn catalog is representative of who you and Marcus and everybody else in the band was at that time?
I mean, looking back on some records, I hope not. But no, I'm just joking. Absolutely, I think so. We always try to do what we are, you know, but not as a conscious decision. You know, I'm not the kind of guy that sits down and can play like 5 Metallica records or something like that. You know, I just can literally play the riffs I write for Heaven Shall Burn. You know, there's nothing more of talent within me, you know, and it's kind of the same with everybody in the band, you know, except our drummer. He's a really good musician, and so we always give 100% and like on the very top limit of what we can deliver for every record, you know. And there is never something like looking back on the record and thinking, oh, we have to go back to the basics and something like that. We never had thoughts like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I feel like your music has some experimental qualities. Like the first song I've ever heard from you was Profane Believers, and then And then the second song I heard after that was Godiva. So like I almost feel like there's many different emotions and many different sounds. Do you guys like to experiment with your style at all, or do you try to maybe experiment with the formula a little bit?
Yeah, I think back in the days that is maybe a huge difference on the new record, but back in the days we always delivered what our fans wanted, because I mean, if you go for lunch to your grandmother, you don't want her to change your favorite recipe, you know, and that's what we actually think our fans also want, you know. So like development was only like in very small doses in Heaven Shall Burn, you know. On one hand, because we weren't able to do such great steps musically, but on the other hand also because we just didn't want it to, you know. Like Ball Thrower is like one of my all-time favorite bands, and they never changed, and nobody wants them to change, you know. And that is always actually that attitude we had, you know. On the new record, there was a lot more space for experiments, so that is something different, I guess.
Yeah. Was it a preconceived idea to make like a double album? Like, did that at all, like, was that like maybe what you wanted to do, or was there just so much material that you've written in the course of 4 years that it was kind of like you didn't have a choice?
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, we didn't sit down in front of a white sheet of paper and did brainstorming, okay, what do we have to do for a double record? Um, so it wasn't like the first idea to do a double record, but when we started songwriting, we totally felt that there will be a creative explosion. You know, there were so many riffs and visions and ideas flying around. You could totally sense that there will be a lot of material, you know. And then pretty soon the album title came up, of Truth and Sacrifice, with these two very strong terms in it that already gives some kind of a duality, you know. And from that point it wasn't so far to think of a double record. You know, you have a lot of material, you have an album title that has a duality, so yeah, let's do a double record. And we thought it would be twice the work doing a double record compared to a single record, but it was at least thrice the work.
Yeah. Would a person, like, should this record be, can a listener approach this record from any angle, or would a person maybe have a better understanding of this record if they started off with March of Retribution and ended with Weakness Leaving My Heart?
That's an interesting question. I think 99.9% of musicians think of the listener when putting together the track list that it's listened from the very beginning to the very end, and that is the what's the word, dramaturgy kind of thing that the musician has in mind. And it's the same with this record. So I would totally think start with the intro. That's obvious.
Now, I know you're not the vocalist, but, you know, Heaven Shall Burn has always wrote songs that I think are very relatable to people, such as, you know, resistance and oppression. I know that, you know, following a straight edge lifestyle, I almost think that you guys take everything Earth Crisis is known for and upped it even farther. So, like, is it fair to say that maybe like a concept can determine the outcome of the music itself?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, I'm not the singer, but I write all the lyrics as well.
Oh, okay.
That's why I do the interviews, and of course, I work together with our singer, you know. But yeah, Earth Crisis was a great influence, you know. Like we just wanted to combine the energy of Ball Thrower with the ethics of Earth Crisis. And I mean, we never been like a straight edge band in a way that we had straight edge lyrics or something like that. Environmental issues are a lot more important to us, you know. And yeah, so I'd say.
Okay. You know, it's funny, I interviewed Refused a couple weeks ago, and, you know, that band is very politically driven. And I like asking bands that, like, address certain subject matters like this, is there, like, a lot of research that goes into writing these lyrics, or is this, like, also, is there, like, a personal part of your life invested into the lyrics as well?
Yeah, also to answer your previous question as well, I didn't really do that. We founded Heaven Shall Burn because we wanted to spread our political opinion. You know, we didn't feel the urge to express something music-wise, you know, like in an artistic way or something. You know, I just felt that if I have a guitar in my hand, people listen to me more than writing an article for the school paper, for the school newspaper. You know, and so I always used the picture that the music in Heaven Shall Burn is the missile and the lyrics are the warhead, and so it will be brought into the target by the music, you know, and that's we are totally political people, and we absolutely want to spread our opinion, and that's what we are, you know. So I wouldn't call it really research for a song or for a certain topic. Of course, when I found a topic or something that I'm interested in, I do research, but to come across all that stuff isn't really like doing research. I don't sit down and say, oh, I want to write this song about the Civil War. Let's do some research about the cool Civil War. It's not working like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I turn on the TV, there are the news, and if there is something that pisses me off, I write lyrics about it, and then I do research on that certain topic. That's how it works for us.
Interesting. Yeah. Is there a time though, maybe because as I mentioned, like Profane Believers, that was the first song I heard, and I was maybe like 11 or 12 years old when I first heard that song. And I wasn't aware of political issues or anything like that. I just really enjoyed, the hardcore aggression of it. Can your music also still be open to interpretation in some ways?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we preach to the people that they should think on their own. I mean, not in a way that you Google like 5 minutes and then you think you're smarter than all the experts in the world on a certain topic. Not like that, but that you find like reliable sources where you get your info from and stuff like that. And of course, with an attitude and an approach like that, you don't must deliver like an instant ideology people can consume. That would be totally limiting and one-sided. They're always open for interpretation. Like one thing we have in Germany that there is quite an amount of right-wing people following snowflake bands like we are.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are really attracted by this very fighting spirit we deliver with the lyrics and the music, and then all of a sudden they realize, oh wow, this band is anti-fascist. What's going on, and that is always the funny situation. Yeah,
I got something even funnier for you. I went to an art school in New York City, and we had to write an article. We had to write an essay based on if our tribal instinct is still used, and I wrote an essay on mosh pitting, and there was and Profane Believers, somebody took a mosh pitting montage, and Profane Believers was the background music for it, and everybody was like, oh my god, this band is so heavy, what are they singing about? It can't be anything supportive. Some people who aren't familiar with their style thought it was the opposite of what you were preaching.
That is a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
However, my teacher, who's a writer, was very into you guys, I must say. I got him into Heaven Shall Burn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. Yeah, it's really strange you're mentioning Profane Believers so much, because that is one of my all-time favorite live songs to play. The other guys are often very bored by that song, but I really try to bring it to every set list live because I really like it.
Oh, yeah. It's been my alarm clock music for quite some time now.
Oh, okay. Good morning then.
And you kind of led me into my next question, mentioning the live presence, because I have yet to see you guys play live. I hope you guys come to the States soon one day. But,
yeah, we hope so too.
But is there maybe a similar energy that you channel into playing live as you do when you're songwriting, or is it a completely separate art altogether?
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we deny to be a totally professional band. I mean, our singer is still working half days in a hospital, not because he needs the money. I mean, we're a really big band in Germany. We can live off the music without any problems. But because he just loves to be there with the people, and not only hanging around in the music scene, which is very often just something for stupid people, And but with a setup like that, and everybody in Heaven Shall Burn thinks like that, and with a setup like that, you still have that energy source from your, I would call it, ordinary life, So you are as enthusiastic making music like an hobby musician, but you're playing on a professional level, and that is maybe because we still have that much of this fresh and authentic aggression in our live shows and in our albums. I mean, if you don't have to record an album every other year, then you can can save a lot of energy. And if you don't play 300 shows a year, maybe just play 50 shows a year, it's also obvious that there is a lot more energy to bring to the shows as well, and that would be my explanation.
Definitely. And being that you also write the lyrics along with guitar playing, is that like also maybe a similar creative process as writing lyrics as playing guitar, or do you kind of have to split your mind in two?
That is very different. Sometimes there's a certain topic I think about and then I write the lyrics. That's actually mostly the way, and then I have a really cool riff and write the song, and then I bring together some lyrics with some of the songs, And once in a while it happens, I have a certain topic in my head or a certain issue, and then I start a riff, with a feeling that these thoughts give me. But that doesn't happen very often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You ready for the most difficult question in the whole interview?
Go on.
So, looking at, this new album of Truth and Sacrifice, you have a song like Truther that's just under 3 minutes. You have a song like The Ashes of My Enemies, which is 2 minutes. And then you have a song like The Sorrows of Victory that's 8.5 minutes. How do you know when a song is done?
Easy. I just, when our singer comes to studio and listens to the song for the first time, and the moment he starts picking his nose,
what?
The song should be over.
What?
That's definitely the easiest sign when a song is too long. When our singer sits in studio, he listens to the song for the first time, like instrumental, of course, and when he starts to be bored and sometimes picking his nose, then we know, okay, the song should be more compact.
That's the best answer I've ever gotten.
Yeah, it's the truth. I'm not lying. It's yeah.
All right. Everybody needs a strategy.
Yeah.
Yep. And the final question I wanted to ask you is actually because where you're from in Germany, Saalfeld, right? That's around where you're from?
Yeah, it's quite the middle of Germany. It's the state of Thuringia, and I'm from the city of Weimar. Yeah.
Okay, so is there like maybe an active metal scene in your area of Germany? I just interviewed a Dark Fortress from Bavaria, and they like said that there's not really too much of like a scene in Regensburg or maybe in Munich. Like, is there like, I heard like Berlin, Munich, Frankfurt has like good scenes, but is there maybe like a scene for metal?
Thuringia is like a very actually we are all hillbillies here. It's like a very, like maybe like Minnesota or something, like a very, very states with a lot of forests and stuff like that. And people here in the metal scene call Thuringia, our state, the Scandinavia of Germany, because there are so many bands here. There is just a lot of nature. There are tons of black metal bands. A lot of great death metal bands, like a totally vivid underground scene, and there's tons of stuff going on.
Oh, wow.
And we're really proud of that. Yeah, just go to Metal Archives, type in Thuringia, and you'll find tons of bands.
Wow, I did not know that, because I always hear like Bavaria is very different from Thuringia, very different from like Berlin. It almost seems like you go to a different state in Germany, and it's almost like you're in a different country.
Yeah, but I would actually say that what you call it, like the density of bands, there's like or maybe bands per capita inhabitants is the Thuringia the richest state in Germany. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe because it's such a hillbilly state, like Finland, for example. There's people don't know what to do.
Yeah, I think it's fairly similar in Bavaria as well.
Yeah, but in Bavaria, you still have a lot of cows to take care of. Maybe that keeps people from writing music.
Yeah, good point. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Is there just anything else with the band that you would like to promote in terms of any up-and-coming shows that aren't at the risk of getting canceled in this whole pandemic, or anything else with the album?
No, people should just give the record a listen and have a look at the guitar solo in what's the song called? The Sorrows of Victory. that one is fucking killer.
That is definitely a killer one, I gotta say. Yeah, but thank you so much, Mike. Everybody, Mike from Heaven Shall Burn. Be sure to pick up the new album of Truth and Sacrifice out on Century Media. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.